Welcome to the Path of Wisdom. Today evening is special. We have two yogis with us, and we will have an inspiring conversation with them. Asha, beautiful woman, well-known author and speaker. She has been a meditator over 50 years and traveling around the world to inspire people to look within themselves in meditation to find the source of happiness. She's a lifelong disciple of Paramhansa Yogananda. Hello, Asha.
Thank you.
Nice, Swami.
Very
Hello.
nice to be here. Very nice to be here.
And the second yogi is Ingvar Villido Ishwarananda. He is a Kriya Yoga master teacher, and he is the founder of Lilleoru Kriya Yoga Study Center and Shiva Temple here in Lilleoru. He has walked the path of Siddha Yoga over 30 years and shared the wisdom and knowledge with people. Hello, Ishwarananda. Asha, welcome to Estonia. Welcome to Lilleoru. You were here today for a whole day, basically. What are your impressions from today in Lilleoru?
No, I myself have been involved in the founding of two communities and the directing of a temple and founding of a school. So I'm in a position to know what it takes. And also I can see from the quality of everyone I've met, the gracious way we've been hosted, the extraordinary attention to detail, the sattvic uplifted vibration. We've just had an absolutely delightful time. And I'm honored to be in your company and just thrilled to have found new brothers and sisters in another part of the world.
We are honored that you are visiting us. Asha means hope.
Yes.
Please open us the meaning of the hope and what meaning it carries in your spiritual journey.
The name was not given to me by my mother. It was given to me by my spiritual teacher, who's a direct disciple of Yogananda, Swami Kriyananda. He gave me this name when I was 24. So let's just say that was quite a long time ago. And most of my life, I thought of it as the positive way of looking at things. I'm optimistic by nature and rather cheerful. So kind of to walk around in a spirit of hope seemed like a good idea to me. Very recently, after all these years, it simply occurred to me that the presence of hope is actually the presence of the divine within us, because the fact that we are one with the infinite, and therefore our true nature is freedom and bliss, makes us dissatisfied with anything less. And the presence of that hope that will someday be our destiny, which makes us discontent when we suffer and ready to get in and try again. I had never thought of Asha as a synonym for eternity, but in fact it is.
Beautiful. Thank you. But Ishwarananda, if I understand correctly, it means divine or supreme consciousness and bliss and joy. So it's a divine place.
Ishwaranand means it's two parts here. Ishvara is God himself, and Anand is his bliss. Mm-hmm. Means God bliss. Yes. That's the meaning of that name. But yeah, everybody have it actually. Not that name, of course, it's an initiated name, but that bliss. But you just need to find it where it is.
But what is happiness?
For me, it's to be true self, to be what I am. Because this is a little bit different. It's not what I mean, or I feel, or I imagine, or how I need to be. It's without any of those things. It's just being. I am. And if I say it's good, feels good, then it doesn't describe it totally. Just maybe blissful being, but you cannot imagine it what it is. Simple way, just being. I am. That's it.
So from that, in order to ask that, what is the source of happiness?
Well, Ishwarananda just explained it to us. It's the presence of God within us. That's what I meant also by hope. It's the the inescapable fact that our destiny and our true nature is eternally blissful. And when we are confused and are not conscious of that, we think that it isn't true anymore. But it is true. And it's just as you say, it's just what we are. But you see, we know that because otherwise we'd be content to be unhappy.
How do we find it?
Oh.
What do we need to do in order to find it?
Which one are you asking? Ask him first.
I asked, okay, I asked first.
You cannot find it. It's not possible. That's the main lila or main non-understanding. Being means I am. But how I can find myself if I am? I cannot find myself from outside myself. It's not somewhere there. It's here. It's present with all of us. I think it's wrong word, of course, but to find yourself, just make one question: who am I?
Yeah,
and then just sense it. Sense it because you are.
Yeah. You know, in English, we say realization. And realization is a very profound and good word because when you realize something, you haven't created it and you've never lost it. You just were not aware of it. And so you become aware of what was always there and was never taken from you. But somehow you had your eyes and your heart closed. That's the great mystery of life, is why. But when we begin to realize it's so self-evident that the question doesn't make any sense anymore.
Right.
Now I also turn to you, to the audience, that audience in the room and in the online stream, you are warmly welcome to present your questions that I can ask from Ishwarananda and Asha. And who are here in the audience, just raise the hand and you will be given a mic so that you can ask your question. But about spiritual journey, I guess the journey, the essence of the journey, one of the goals is to come to this realization that you just talked about. And at some point in your life, in early age, you turn to the spiritual path. When it happened, that how it happened, when you shifted towards the spirituality in Ishwarananda?
My story is quite long, but basically it means I searched things. Some things is very interesting, actually. Some spiritual things, about different things. As a magic, for example, supernatural powers. What are those chakras and nadis and other very nice things? But then you become involved. Then you start to practice it. then you have experiences, but finally, if you don't make any researchings anymore, if you are tired about experiences, other things, other teachings, then one day you just can realize, for example, by yourself, who am I? And if you find yourself, not outside, but because you are, right? Then your research about yourself just stopping. That's it. And after that, you become represented by true self. And whatever you're doing by yourself. But you have very stable cornerstone. You're like a fundament. You're just staying like a pillar of universe. Nothing changes here. And just making your regular life and your tasks and other things. But that's a question of realizing, how I realize it. That's the point. For me, it was for me, that point.
And you thought of
Well, I was always looking for meaning, and I was very, I mean from childhood. I was perhaps 3 years old when my mother scolded me. I had a very, very nice mother, but my brother was really the instigator, so I felt I was slightly mistreated by my mother's scolding, but my feelings were hurt. But I remember curling up and knowing that I could go someplace within myself where it really wouldn't matter anymore what was happening around me, that I had a place that was completely separate from everything else. And I think I was 3. Not that I was able to hold that, but of course I still vividly remember it. And I wasn't really on a spiritual search, or I wanted a meaningful life. I wanted to understand how to find happiness. I wanted to help people, but I had no idea how actually to help them. And before I was 20, I found books. Swami Vivekananda, disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. It was somewhat intellectual, which suited me at the time. So I read and I read and I read. And then I wanted to live these ideas, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. This is like, whatever, 1967 in San Francisco. And there was a lot of opportunity to do lots of interesting things, but not all of them were what I wanted. And then I met Swami Kriyananda, who was a direct disciple of Yogananda, Paramhansa Yogananda. And he was the personification of everything that I wanted to be. Not in himself, but in his consciousness. I just recognized, and I didn't tie this all together until later, but I recognized that he lived in that place that I knew from when I was 3 years old existed. And I just decided that I knew he could teach me. And I made a decision approximately in the first 60 seconds that I saw him, that was what I was looking for. And from that moment to this time, and I'm very fortunate, I just found what I was looking for so fast. I never doubted. It provided an entire lifestyle for me, community to live in, interesting work, wonderful friends, and close association with someone who never failed to inspire and guide me. I wish everyone had such a simple story. And I've never been, I'm philosophical, but I've never quested after experiences of a paranormal, of a beyond consciousness. I just wanted to be happy, but in a really super deep way. Happy in the way that an untouched kind of happiness. So my life has always been very practical in that sense. Not esoteric. I'm not really that good at being esoteric. I get confused.
Yeah, we have different ways.
Yeah, we have different ways.
Yeah.
I know exactly. When
But
I
the same
listen,
result.
yeah, when I listen to you talk, I'm just so like, wow.
Well, let's talk about the spiritual journey that you have had for many decades. And the question is that the biggest surprises on that path, or the turning points, in a sense that, well, if we talk about the spirituality, we have some kind of idea or vision what it is, or what we feel that it is. And at some point, there is an experience that tells us vice versa, or the spirituality is completely something different. So that our understanding on the spirituality changes.
Right.
Have you had that kind of events, or some really experience that have been unexpected or affected you a lot?
Uh-huh.
And
Where to start? Where do you
Start
want
your
to
voice.
start? You know, it all seemed very dramatic when it was happening, but in retrospect, it doesn't feel that dramatic. It's like you're traveling through somewhat new country. I'm traveling a lot. I've never been in Estonia except for the last maybe 48 hours. We go down the road and you see all these different things. Of course, the world is not that different, but you see things you've never seen before. They're immensely interesting. You think about them and then they go past you. And I don't anymore, like hold on to it. Because from my experience, the expansion of spiritual understanding has been a kind of constant letting go of who I thought I was, who I thought I had to be, but not dramatically. It's just like you sort of look, it's like melting ice. It's just like it was there, it was big, it was solid, it was intrusive, and then somehow the next time you looked, it wasn't. And the only really forceful thing I can say about it is it never occurred to me to give up. And, you know, lots of things happened to me that at the time I wish they didn't. But it never occurred to me to give up. The alternative to constantly trying to shift one's inner consciousness rather than looking for any other solution. It's like, what choice do I have? And that's the real shift, which is that we imagine there's another solution, and that at some point there is no other solution. So it doesn't really matter how steep the hill is, how deep the cavern is, how unfair the people are, how painful the betrayal is. Like, who cares? I have no choice. I either am going to just continue to suffer, or I'm going to face into whatever's in front of me and just keep on doing what I'm doing until I've expanded beyond it. I know that's not a very interesting story, but that's basically all I can think of right now.
Actually, I have same story.
We're a couple of dull interviewees. We need some...
Yeah. But maybe I have one exception. Exception was maybe I had some need to know. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? And spirituality in the beginning was just, how I say, just ideas.
got it.
Ideas and imaginations and listen, very, very important people who knows things. But finally, you start to try to do those things. It actually doesn't work because it's just ideas. And then you just asking from yourself, is it something beyond all those things there? Really? And for me, it was a very important point because I going deeper. I decide enough for listening, go and expose those things by yourself. And it's still it's still working. Even now, I'm going deeper to understand sometimes things. Even I don't need so much to know anymore. But that real spirituality for me is very practical. It means spiritual things, they're invisible. We cannot see them because maybe that's the reason why people say this is spiritual things. But still we can touch those things, right? By our consciousness, by our senses. They're abstract, but very real. For me, it more as physics, like a science, natural science. And you don't need to believe those things. If you become experienced of something and you can repeat your experience and again repeat it, it becomes real, like as a science, right? But then you start to know, this is it, it works as that, right? And that's my way. And of course, I met some very great experiences through my discovery. But as you said, you just felt them, you've been there, you've been it, you learn it, and then you dropped it.
Yeah.
Let's go further.
Yeah, let's go further.
Yeah, let's go further, yeah. And of course, I very liked your explanation about others who looking us and talking about what we are doing right and what wrong, and never take care actually about what they're talking or thinking. Yeah, because it's like it's challenge, of course, challenging, but to become involved or to become part of egoistic life, it's terrible idea actually, because it's endless.
Yes, it's endless.
You can draw there and you can die there, and nothing but the spiritual there. There is, it's a true hell. Yeah, and I didn't take so seriously those things, even the influencing quite seriously. But I learned some things from those experiences and dropped some things away. Yeah. And actually, more you become free, then more freedom become created.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I was expecting some fantastic stories about clouds opening and, something magical happening at some specific point. But what you say is that it's a smooth journey.
Smooth might not be quite the right word, but
Or constant journey.
Actually, I have many stories about wonderful with firework and other things, but finally you can find at the beginning they are very, very wow, impressive, but after some time it just becomes simple as usual things. It's not so important to become involved to them because they going away.
there's another way to think about this. At a certain point, it becomes natural to you. The sages and saints who do miracles are not impressed with their miracles because it's science.
Yes.
They just do it, and others think something remarkable has happened, but it isn't remarkable. It's what you've realized was always there. So even though, to be fair, I've had wonderful experiences, but they're not. They just seem natural to me, but they're not. I don't want to exaggerate. I don't go places and have really colorful things happen. I could not write a book about my own experiences. It would be a a non-seller, I promise you. But I can testify that you get happier and freer. And that, to me, is worth everything. Nothing else is worth anything compared to that.
It's like children, you know, if they have new toy, they are not very long time excited about it. It just goes away. That's it.
Fair enough.
Becomes known.
Yeah.
So the spiritual journey, yoga is an individual path. It's individual practice and the transformation that happens within you. But there is an important element which is a teacher, and that you also touched upon. Describe me the essence of the relationship between disciple and the teacher,
No,
or the role of the teacher.
My life is a life of discipleship, completely. I found my path very early. I found my teacher in Swami Kriyananda. I actually did not have an understanding of Paramhansa Yogananda. In fact, I had his autobiography, which I presume is known to most people. But I was very intellectual, and Yogananda was full of heart, and he was full of miracles. On page 10 or page 9, you know, one of the gurus magically appears in a wheat field to deliver a message, and I think I closed the book at that point. I was a snob about things like that. I was very pure, and I thought it was, and so I just had the book on my shelf, and then I met Swami Kriyananda, and as I said, I had a totally intuitive but unmistakable experience of his consciousness. He gave all credit for who he was to his guru, and because I respected him so much, I had to respect what he respected. So I picked up Autobiography of a Yogi, and I loved it. I couldn't even think why I hadn't loved it before, which was really the first telling to me that the relationship between the disciple and the teacher, between the disciple and the guru, is vibrational, and much more than we think. We are just a pattern of energy, and we match the vibrations that match our energy. In fact, in Autobiography, Yogananda says, thoughts are not individual. We are literally like a radio receiving station, and whatever we're vibrating as, the universe supports us in that. And so at a certain point, if you become a disciple, you want to tune your radio to the open window of that consciousness to keep you always receiving divine instructions, essentially. And it's not at all personal, even though it may be focused through an individual who has a face and a name, because they're channeling a ray of grace themselves, and you get in tune with that grace. And the magic of it is, the more you get in tune with the ray of grace the teacher is giving you, the more you become yourself. Rather than becoming like them, you become like them in the sense that you're tuned to your own actual point of origin, your own vibration. And then you sort of watch yourself become something that you didn't exactly choose, but it seems very natural to you. You see, all words begin to fail at that point. But the relationship, to just answer that, the relationship is friendship. Because friendship is a completely freely given. Yogananda described it as the highest form of love, because there's no actual form to it. You're friends because your hearts are aligned. And there's also a mutual respect in that, and a sense of, in the Bible, Jesus says, you call me master, but I call you friend. And he said, because the servant will help his master, but he never embraces his master's reality as his own, whereas a friend does. And it's not because I mean, to this day, I lived in close association with Swami Kriyananda for 45 years, and he died 10 years ago. And I was considered a full-grown adult at that point, but I felt at the time that he died, I was probably old enough to stay without a babysitter for the evening. That was just basically how old, not for the whole weekend, but just for because he was an adult. I was a child. I still feel that way. But nonetheless, in a strange sort of way, there's an equality that is hard to appreciate when there's such a difference. But it's because of the respect that you receive and the respect that you offer. It's a friendship then.
I'm absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You was lucky
Pardon me?
because you had teacher
I know. I
with
think gratitude.
flesh and
Yeah.
blood. I wasn't so lucky. I have my teacher is Shiva Shankara, and my mentor is Siddha Gaster. But they are not here with body, right?
Yeah.
But still, if I'm looking back to even to the childhood, they taught me through the different situations in life. That's the reason why I went through whatever kind of phases of life, and good and bad, whatever. It means I know what regular life means by my experience, and I can say, if I'm looking back, all those experiences was very important to learn through them, to understand what really happens and why it happened, and what can be solutions for those situations, not only for me but for everyone. And that was some kind of practical teaching to create practical solutions. And that way, working still, it's still here.
Exactly.
Yeah. How I reacting to some kind of problems, what can happen, and other. And but about friendships, it's absolute truth. Absolute truth. Yeah. You need to be very clear with that. What it means. It needs to be very without any conditions, unconditional. Yeah. And that word master is not good, or your guru. I like that friend. Friend is best. Yeah. Even if talking about Shiva, he's the main source of everything. In yoga, we know, right? And how how Shiva can be a friend. But it is.
But I get it.
But he
No,
is, yeah.
I understand.
Or Agastya, who is the greatest Siddha and Rishi, and equal to the Shiva, and how that kind of living being can be a friend. Can be.
But it can be true.
Yeah, can be. Yeah. And Kriya Babaji, for example, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those kind of teachers, they don't need to be gurus and with high rank someone.
Exactly.
They don't wait it from people.
No, exactly.
But students need it. They need to say, "This is my guru. He's so high." But I hope that attitude can melt away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead it can come more that relationship, that fair relationship,
Exactly.
clear. Then start to work.
You know, there's another point that, and I know that my own life was unusual, and it's actually a bit of a dilemma for me because Swami Kriyananda has been gone for more than a decade, and you have this thought, we all have this thought in our mind, you want somebody in the body who can really talk to you, and because I had that, I'm not in much of a position to say you don't need it. So here's how I've thought about it over time. The avatars, the great souls, the great saints, I mean, I'll speak for myself, I won't speak for you. I have a lot of karma that I'm still working on, and the chances are pretty good it's going to take me a couple more incarnations if I'm lucky. So I'm compelled to reincarnate. I have to take a physical body because I have physical karma I have to work out. I can't work it out outside of this realm. But the saints and the masters, they are not compelled. They only come when divine will wants them to be here. So the chances are we're going to be on this plane of consciousness more often than they are, which means that we have to have a lot of incarnations when whoever our teachers are not with us in physical form, because they would have to incarnate as often as we do to make that happen. So, but the fundamental issue, and this is also to your question, even though I had a great deal of contact with Swamiji, and until the end I could phone, I could email. We lived on separate continents a lot of the time, but that didn't stop us in this age. The relationship was internal. It was not created by the external connection, because the external connection would have meant nothing if the vibration wasn't matching. And it was a constant flow of inspiration and vibration that sometimes had fun talking to each other. But when I was out of tune inwardly, no amount of external contact had any effect on me. And when I was in tune inwardly, which was at least more often than not, everything would just happen. And to this day, they're not affected by time and space and life and death and physical voices or lack of it. It's really, because we go in and out of tune with their presence, we think that they are going in and out of cooperation, we're constantly being showered with divine inspiration, and we just turn the radio receiver on and off. And so we think that the inspiration is on and off, but it's not true. Unconditional, eternal, it's always there. So it takes us many lifetimes to work with what we learn. There's a wonderful psychic who talked about, this woman, he said she was on the street and Jesus walked by. He looked at her. She looked into his eyes. He looked into hers. It was Edgar Cayce, who was a very well-known, reliable. He said they just went like this. She did not become his follower in that lifetime. She never spoke to him. She never saw him again. 2,000 years, he said, you're still working with what he gave you. Because he gave you a seed of potential that she had to keep watering and cultivating, and she just wasn't finished with that. So it's all, as you often say, it's very different. It's just very different than our brains are telling us. Important points. Yeah.
When you talked about your teachers, then the level of sincerity that we felt, we could feel it.
Oh, good.
Thank you for this. But now my question is that I guess teacher is smarter than we are.
Smarter, yes. I'd put it
And
mildly.
my question is that what's the most valuable lesson you have learned from your teacher? When he was smarter than you.
I think truth. That most valuable things.
Yeah.
Not about myself, but about everything. Because for me, everything that exists, it's exists because here is natural laws. all universe, visible and invisible, using natural laws. But a lot of those laws or knowledges are hidden. Our scientists know something, but that's not all. And God Himself, or Shiva, or Agastya, for example, they know those things. One was great at those things, right? Other just follows his guru's paths, and he knows too. It means, for me, it's very important knowledge. Knowledge, but it's not just knowledge as knowledge.
Right.
It's deep understanding. And this is not understanding by mind or intellectual understanding. It's knowledge which opens to the being. I start to understand, but they exposed to me through insights, through inspiration, through understanding process. And I can say I became wise at that time, but now I can say I don't know nothing, actually, because I don't keep those things in my mind, in my memory. This is calm place here. I can talk with my mind. And yeah, knowledge brings you to the silence,
Yeah.
to the knowing. Yeah. And of course you try to share your knowledge, because you would like to share knowledge because it can help someone.
Yeah. Precisely.
But sometimes it works, sometimes not. Yeah. But of course, if knowledge start to open up itself for someone, behind it is big love,
Yeah. Great.
yeah, trust, and you deserve it.
Very good.
But deserving means you are surrendered enough.
Yeah.
Enough means to some kind of level. You can surrender more and more and more to make real relationship with teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they are very kind to you. Yeah, because they see you are sincere. You don't have some egoistic ideas behind it, how to use those knowledges or humans and etc. But yeah, but they don't give you everything fully, but piece by piece, and it's very interesting how actually reality opens up. Yeah, and you start to understand how it actually works and what is those things.
You know, you were. I'm very glad you just put it so simply. It's just a matter of what is. It's coming to just. We were talking earlier today before this about Sri Yukteswar, who's considered to be a very stern and demanding teacher in the autobiography of a yogi. Recently I thought of it, that Sri Yukteswar was simply, he witnesses the inescapability of divine law. And without any sentiment, without any prejudice, it's just this is the way things are. And that's really what we learn from a teacher, is that this is just the way things are. That's why I said earlier, what choice do I have? Specifically just, there's countless lessons. I've written actually a very big book about Swami Kriyananda, so there's a lot in that book. But I came from a very intellectual family, educated, and just that was very important to me. I kind of joke. I say intelligence is my hobby. It's just I just enjoy it. And the most, one of the most impressive things at the beginning especially, for me about Swami Kriyananda was he was so intelligent. He happened to be well educated, but he had an insightful mind. I don't mean he was intellectual, because he wasn't, but he was just intelligent. And I became, like, what makes him so intelligent? Why can he always understand? We were a bunch of us who were in the ashram. We were all the same basic generational group, and we were bright kids. But we would look at a situation and be so confused, and he would look at it and understand. I mean, it happened way more than once. But I began to understand that the reason he was so capable of seeing what is because he wasn't afraid. It just came down to the simplest thing. He was interested in truth. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in truth most of the time, unless it threatens something that I think I have to have, and then we can play a lot of games with it. But his only interest was in just what is, and he was fearless about the consequences, because truth always wins. Mm-hmm. So why would I play a long, elaborate, exhausting game of trying to, bend what is to what I want to be? And he just never tried. So he was so relaxed, no energy resisted. And that became a clue when I'm resisting, when I'm confused. I used to think when I was confused, I was actually confused, but I was always afraid.
Right.
Yeah. The question became, what am I afraid of? Which is not always easy to answer, but it was the right question. I used to, what does God want? I would go through these huge dramatic, what does God want? And it was always because God wanted something, so to speak, that I didn't. That's all. And as soon as I gave up being afraid, then it was always simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
This topic seems to be important to the audience. And there is a really important question now. How to find the right teacher? Because they want the same that you described.
Exists one saying, if students are ready, then teacher coming, right?
Yes, of course.
But I'm adding always some things here. But student never recognize teacher. Teacher coming, but student don't recognize him.
Right.
Yeah, you recognized him by
was,
watching, by seeing, right? By your soul consciousness. Right. But most of them doesn't recognize. I think so. Yeah, and I think it's very reasonable if someone talking something what you can understand, and you can find out, oh, really? Yes. How he knows it? It's so simple. Now I know too, right? If someone talking about simple things, about what we maybe don't know, but they are very real things, and we can recognize them. I think this is truthfulness. When someone talking about reality as it is, in simple way, and people can understand it. But it doesn't mean that person can be your teacher, right? Because here is a big mountain of ego and other things, some expectations and wishes and that whatever. I think to become student is quite challenging because your ego is very tricky here. He need a lot. And have a lot of questions and proofs and whatever, and that game can be very long, actually. Yeah, if you know how to surrender who do it? No one do it, right? Because it's can be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know who is that guy,
Yeah.
your teacher or not. It's dangerous, right? But by time it's become very clear. You become convinced. Yes, it is, because before you become student or you find your teacher, you need to be convinced, or ego need to be convinced it's not dangerous, and this is it. It's quite long way, I think so. Yeah, to find teacher. Maybe sometimes it's become shorter, maybe longer, but maybe it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But to find teacher, that real teacher who really knows things, it's quite difficult, because today is a lot of fake teachers, a lot, and yeah, it was nicely said that, but open up your eyes, just look around. Yeah.
You know, if
Can
you
you add something?
yeah, in the same line that you're saying, it's very difficult to evaluate someone whose consciousness is very different than yours, or at least whose consciousness may be different than yours. So it's a little bit hard to sort of tell. So if a few things that are helpful, if you look at those who have dedicated their lives to following a certain line of teaching, well, in the Bible, again, Jesus' disciples ask him, how can you tell a true prophet from a false one?
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about a good tree gives good fruit, and a bad tree gives bad fruit. So sometimes it's easier to look at those who are following this particular line of teaching. And it's not merely a question of evaluating them, it's more like there's a vibration to every path, and you have to see if that vibration matches yours. Do you want to be like these people?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean everybody who sits in the Sangha hall, because some of them are going to be more in tune than others, but those who are really dedicated, is this who I want to become? I mean, that is, in a sense, when I saw Swami Kriyananda, I wanted to become like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized myself, my own aspiration in him. And I've watched over the years of the ashram I've been part of, after a certain point, it was like we started finding our own gurubhais. We started finding our own brothers and sisters because we were in tune with each other. And then they began to become interested in what made us who we were. So that's one thing to look at. Do I feel at home with the family? Because that's where you're going to, that's more, it's easier to evaluate. But the other aspect of this is the reason you either haven't attracted or haven't yet recognized where you belong. And the word teacher is helpful, but teaching and practice is also important, because teachers don't incarnate all that often, so it's also the teachers and the teaching. But the reason you can't find your home is because your intuition is not yet finely honed. So if you sit on the sidelines and wait to be certain before you engage in any kind of sadhana, any kind of spiritual practice, you're basically doing nothing to hone your intuition. You're confining yourself to your present state of ignorance and hope that just by sitting there, something's going to happen. So if you can shop around a little bit. With the internet now, it's super easy to do. But you shop around. But if you find something that you at least trust, and that's the word that you have, that you trust that this is a valid teaching, that the lineage has credibility, that the individuals presenting it have clean, positive energy, you can begin to do something to change your consciousness. And true gurus are not competitive. You know, I don't think that Jesus and Krishna and Buddha are counting their disciples in whatever part of the world they are and keeping score. They just want to help us. So if you give your sincere practice to a path that may not be your final home, but will change you, then your own intuition will begin to awaken. So do something sensible and do it sensibly, but don't imagine that on a silver platter, just as you said at the beginning, the teacher comes, but we don't recognize them. Why don't we recognize them? Because our mirror, our vision is clouded. Start doing everything you can to clarify your vision. It will increase your intuition. It will also change your magnetism. And then your magnetism will begin to attract more to you.
How to clear the vision?
Pardon me?
How to clear the vision?
You meditate, you do spiritual practice, you live an uplifted life, you serve other people, you try to be selfless, you try to overcome your fears, you try not to be, there's a whole lot you can do. You know, you stop drinking, you stop smoking, you stop carousing, you listen to uplifting music. I mean, come on. we want a different answer. We want an answer like drink the magic potion, done. This isn't the magic potion.
How to learn to surrender? What is surrender in a deep meaning, Ishwarananda?
To release all tensions. Short answer. To become nobody. That's your short answer.
Is the short answer. To become I think what you surrender is fear. You just stop being afraid. Fear is everything. I mean, fear is. Well, I keep going back to the Bible. I mean, I'm quite inspired by the life of Christ, but it's not my only. Nobody but the Christian churches would not call me a Christian, but nonetheless, But St. John in the Bible says, "Perfect love casts out all fear." And so it's when we feel that we know we are loved, because it is our birthright, it is who we are. The presence of God is perfect love, and we're not afraid anymore. But that's what we're really surrendering. I mean, what the ego is fear. The ego is, I have to protect myself, I have to be somebody, I have to be separate from you, I have to look good, I have to be in charge. What's the basis of all of that? It's all fear. Yeah.
I have a message for you from the audience. That thank you for such an inspiring conversation. I hear you speaking about the same thing, love, goodness, reaching God. There are so many different yoga and spiritual lineages whose main goal is the same, to purify and to achieve the ultimate purpose of human life, to know the true self and reach God. Although the purpose is the same, we are often separated from each other. There is even competition between different lineages. It's like there is an invisible wall between teachings. It seems that, especially now, in these dark times on earth, those of us who have chosen to move towards love, light, goodness, should or could create some sort of union regardless of the lineage. Do you think this is necessary, possible, and how it could happen? What do we need to do for this?
As you said, it's a question of fear or ego. Release it, and everything become good. Because if all yoga branches and other spiritual teachings, real teachings, talking about freedom and reaching God, it's truth, right? That is our main goal. We came from God. We're going back to the God. That's common things in this level, right? But how to do it can be different. For example, you become changed by vibration of your guru, right? Because you accept him, and slowly your karma goes down, and they become same, right? My way was a true understanding how all this mechanism works, right? And I think exist many different ways too, right? But I cannot say my way is better than you, right? Because it's not important. Important is that final goal. If you found who are you, that's it, nothing more, right?
Yeah.
And how, for example, you acting in the world, that is your way, how to express a true self. I'm expressing it differently, right? But the world is not only one lineage or second lineage or third one. There's eternal amount of different lineages. But all those lineages belongs to the one God.
Yeah.
We cannot understand God by one or two lineages. It's not fair, right? If we're looking, He's ultimate.
Yeah.
He can create thousands of different lineages,
Exactly.
but the goals are same.
Yeah.
Same. How to connect all those different lineages through acceptance.
Yeah.
Through acceptance. Yeah. Of course, gurus or teachers are different.
Yeah.
Some teachers don't know nothing about the true self. Even they're talking about it. I think you saw some kind of people. I saw many of them, but it's no matter, because that's their way.
Yeah.
In some day, they just can discover that final truth about themselves, right? And then they start to understand individually, oh, that was ego play, right? The acceptance can be that glue, I think so.
Yeah. It begins. You know, Swami Kriyananda made a very interesting explanation, and I wrote a book that I will try to send to. It's of all things, it's called The Hindu Way of Awakening. But the point of it is this: every spiritual path, every lineage, however you want to call it, especially every religion, by the time a lineage becomes a religion, which is a whole big process that happens, it ends up with a way of belief. And the way of belief varies widely, from Buddhism to Hinduism to Christianity to whatever it is. And often they're very contradictory. Judaism says this, Christianity says that. And on the level of the way of belief, you cannot reconcile it, because the Jews, you have no images. The Hindus have nothing but images. Christ is the only way, but gosh, what about all the Buddhists? It never works. However, the point of the way of belief is to focus your energy, and if you do it with enough sincerity and right action, so that you begin to awaken to another reality. And the way of awakening is the same. But the way we have to reconcile it is we have to stop trying to reconcile it on the basis of belief, because then we're being tolerant of each other, and we accept that you have these odd beliefs, and I'm generous enough to respect it, but I don't really, because my way is right. But if we start seeing how what you're doing transforms you into a better person, what you're doing makes you generous, what you're doing makes you compassionate, calm, that's where we begin to come together. We've separated ourselves from the outer world to the inner world.
Right.
And it's so self-evident, but not yet. But also, some people need to be fanatics. You know, if they weren't fanatical, they wouldn't be able to hold on. And so sometimes you just have to let them be fanatics, because if they weren't gripping it like that, their other pulls in them would take them away. So you can't force people to be at a level of understanding a revolution or awakening that they're not. And this world is not meant to be all that nice, really. I mean, it's here to remind us that this is not our true home. So a lot of this is just the way it's made.
Fanatics have this own role here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to show to others, don't do that.
And they also show us how judgmental and impatient we can become.
Right.
Well, the aspect of truth seems to be touching the audience, and we have many questions in this line. So to line it down to the question, it would be like this. How do you evaluate or recognize the truth? It can be dynamic, selective, depends on the framework, gurus or so-called gurus. How to recognize truth?
By my experience, truths can be discovered only by self, true self. Only you know it. For others, it can't be truth, but you know it. For example, existence or am I, it's truth for me. But maybe for someone who looking now, me, can say, oh, it's liar. Maybe. But I know. I am myself. Truth is always individual experience, not knowledge as believing, but it's experience. Any kind of experiences what we have, they are truths for us about things what we are not. If I become experienced of something, it means experiencing something. That it doesn't mean for me it's me, because for me it's just being, as I said before. But it's not thinking. It's not imagining. It's not believing. It's not meditation. It's not some pranayama or some magic. I don't eat any mushrooms before I came here. It's not nothing, you know. It's out of different ideas or influences. It's natural state.
Yeah.
And through explanation, nobody cannot reach it. Yeah, it's need to become a practical experience.
Exactly. You know, it's, I think honest introspection is a great, you have to pay attention to your own experience, and you have to have the courage to be honest about your own experience, because then you begin to discover what is. You know, we can want things to be a certain way, but if we pay attention and we're honest about our own experience, we gradually we accumulate evidence based on what we ourselves have seen, and then the inevitability of divine law comes in. And it just gradually, we keep coming back around to the same understanding. And that's what truth is, and it's not external, just exactly as you say. It's the way we're made. And the only way you can understand how you're made is by paying attention to your to the way that the energy unfolds. You know, you can't force it, you can't impose it. Because I talk a lot, and I try to explain the basic principles of karma, for example. But people always ask the same questions. You know, what about the poor innocent children here in the, you know, you look at the world, and to say that everything is karma seems utterly heart-shatteringly awful. And my response always is, I will not try to persuade you. I can't persuade you. You know, I've worked with this within myself. I've watched myself. I've paid attention. I've had my experience, and it feels to me that this is what is. But I'll give you why I think so. But after that, I won't lift a finger to persuade you, because if you don't awaken to it, if I persuade you today, someone else will persuade you the other way tomorrow. And what good is that for any of us? But here's the breadcrumbs, and here's why I think like this, and how does it match your experience? That's the only way I can think about it. I do believe there is such a thing as truth. But as I said, it's just as you said also, it's simply that which is. Yeah.
I think that what someone are understood, that's the truth. The understanding is that I get it.
I get it.
Yeah, smart cookies, right?
It's realizing. It was
Realizing,
it was always
yeah.
sitting there, and you just didn't know it, and then now I know it. And how could I not have noticed all this time? But I didn't, so there you have it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's truthful.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I would now go no further to the subject of consciousness.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Floor is yours. Or even my question would be that you have touched in your answers the element of consciousness, and you have spoken about this in a way that you understand what you're telling us. Now my question would be that when you talk about the consciousness and the vibration, explain us more about the element or the aspect. What is consciousness?
You're asking me first, you're not asking him first?
I'm asking you both.
You know, definitions require a point of reference.
Yeah.
You know, an orange is like a lemon, only it's not so sour. A grapefruit is a little bit between an orange and a lemon. But you have to have a point of reference. The problem of defining or even explaining the concept of consciousness is that consciousness, there is everything. And therefore there's no way you can compare it. You have no point of reference because it's everything. Everything is a manifestation of Satchidananda, of infinite, ever blissful, ever aware consciousness. You can use the word awareness. You can use the fact that I exist. You know, that I wake up every morning and I know who I am, and that I'm always myself, which I find to be a stunning, sometimes extremely disconcerting fact. But just that I can observe the reality that I was asleep, that I was awake, you know, and that today is different than yesterday, that all of that is because there is something in us that is always able to know. We're not nothing. How did I do?
Very well. For me, is consciousness, of course, it's eternal nothingness, or Shiva means nothingness too, right? Or that beginning of everything. Or state before Big Bang, for example, same thing. But in daily life we are using same consciousness. For example, to recognize something, pay attention. If somebody say, "Pay attention, look at here," and we're looking to that side through our eyes, and in same way our consciousness is there,
Yes.
or awareness. We become aware of that.
Yeah.
We become aware of some sound, some music, for example, taste, smells, and sensations. We become aware. It means we start to know. If I'm using imagination now, and I say, but how is being, or how I can be without consciousness? Means I'm unconsciousness. I don't have. It's gone. Everything are gone. That world are gone. My thoughts are gone. Everything is gone, right? But consciousness make us conscious persons or conscious humans. And the ability to recognize something is pure consciousness. It's pure consciousness, but it's not so long time it's pure. It's approximately a few seconds. Only a few seconds, because that's thoughtless state.
Yeah.
Then thoughts coming, and then we're losing this ability. We are not aware of it anymore. And everyone can learn how to keep consciousness, keep outside without bringing it back to the thoughts. Just recognize this process is there and there. Don't bring it back, just hold it there. I had one story in the US. In San Francisco, I had some courses and explain how you can prolong your awareness. And that a person walked all night, because we finished in evening, and next day we're starting in the morning. He walked all night in the town, and he just prolonging awareness outside. And he came back, he said, "It's done. I'm here and now." It was an amazing experience for him. And what it means, I'm here and now. If you can catch your consciousness, you can become experienced of here and now, or it's present. Present, it's not past, it's not future, right. Because past and future, they're coming from our mind or memory.
Right.
They creating rememberings and imaginations. And those two things filling up our mind and creating some kind of virtual reality to us. Right. But that recognizing is pure consciousness. And if you find it, recognizing it, start to use it, you become a citizen of present. Because consciousness existing only here and now. And it's a beginning. For example, some meditations where we try to focus, to keep focus there, actually trying to keep our awareness there, right? But it's not so simple, the exercise. Yeah, but that's the purpose of that exercise, to become manager of your awareness. Then if you become manager for your awareness, you can expand it. Yes. Then it becomes as a consciousness. Right. And if it's expanding more, it becomes spaces, become eternal, can become one to the sky, right? And finally one to that primordial consciousness. That's the way what we are using here. And yeah, you need to find it just what it is, because we're using it, right? We're always using. We cannot be without consciousness, right? That's the way. Yeah. What it is, it's very difficult to say what it is. But for me, for myself, it's eternity. If I'm looking where, from what it starts, where is end, how far it goes to the up and down, I cannot see any borders, you know. And if I'm looking what it is, I see only emptiness. I see only space. Space and atoms are there, all things living there in this space. And it's very stable, actually, this space. It can't go away. We cannot influence to it. It's something what belongs to the God Himself. Yeah, that's the phenomenon. And what is good news? It cannot die.
You cannot die.
Cannot die. Die. Yeah. It's not thing what can die. Space cannot die. This is consciousness, and in yoga terms, we know this is Shiva.
Yeah.
Black light or purest light. Black because we don't have any mirroring things here. Nothing reflects. It's so pure, so pure. Yeah. That's the consciousness.
That was good. I'll give you a much better
That's my experience, my discoveries. Yeah, and I try to explain to the others too. Maybe they can get it.
You know what I just love? Talking to, meeting you. It's like this is a perfect example. You've just gone at it in a way that I can't even imagine, and yet we understand each other.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean we do, but we've just this just shows every one of us has our own point of origin and our own unique story, but we're all climbing the same mountain and we'll all get to the top. Yeah, very
Right.
wonderful.
You both, Asha and Ishwarananda, you both guide and help so many people in the world. So what is the highest need that people need today? What do you see? What is the most critical issue that everybody should solve within themselves in order to get a balanced life?
To balance their life, personal life, or become more free, conscious.
Yeah.
Well, let's then touch upon that. If you look at the humanity or the people that you have seen, been in contact with, what do you see? What's the urgent need or the most important aspect that would need attention, clarity,
Urgent
change?
need. You know, it's my opinion, of course. It's we are not so well educated about ourselves. People don't know what actually happens inside them. Even if they feel it, even if they read their thoughts, they cannot do nothing with it. It's just spinning there, running, right? And that inner education is very low, actually. I think it's most important thing because outside things, we can manage them very simply because we are taught to do it, right? How things doing, actually. And we are quite well doing good, right? Those things. But here our education is very low, actually. Very low. Because if you don't know what happens inside you, what actually making it's like a primer course for secondary course what we are doing outside, because our impulses coming from inside and going outside, not from outside inside, because It feels like that. The main system, response system, is here, our body. What happens inside here? That's the main engine. What actually drives, right? Outside world is neutral, actually, to us. And I think it's a question of education, how well we are educated about ourselves. It means that ignorance would be good if we can just give some knowledge here, to make understanding and some practical usage of it. Then people can help themselves by themselves. It's like a sandwich, If you have fridge, you have things there, you can help yourself with sandwich to do it. If you know things, how they're working here, you can make many changes here, right? Meditation is good, but for me, meditation is a calm down process. It means your psychology, all psychological processes, they just become calmed down. But it doesn't mean they are gone, they're still there, right? Would be good to learn some techniques, what not calming down only, but what can be used to excluding some subconsciousness processes what we don't need in our life. Fear, for example, and other things what are created by fear. It just we can clean our home, right? We know what is hygiene, but we don't know hygiene about our inner world or how to clean it. Yeah, exist many good techniques, knowledges how we can do that very easily and efficiently in daily life. It means we don't need to suffer so long time to search help from that and that and that. Yeah. Yeah, it's deficit of knowledge. I said that.
Deficit knowledge. People are seeking happiness in the wrong place, and they're suffering and they don't know why. And it's because of exactly what you're saying. There's a lack of inner knowledge. There's a misunderstanding of the word God, which doesn't really convey anything except if you have a dogmatic explanation of it. We need a much more subtle, more experiential understanding of our relationship to higher levels of reality. We need self-definitions that are closer to the extreme complexity of states of consciousness. And it all begins inside. Everything begins inside. And we have a culture that's just completely focused in the absolute opposite direction. And everything is set to keep you distracted. We just desperately are trying to distract ourselves at all times. And what is happening and what will continue to happen is that people will wake up one by one. Well, let me phrase that differently. That's not true. We are in an ascending cycle of awakening consciousness. I used to be very pessimistic about the state of the world, and it's just not hard to be pessimistic. But I've traveled a lot in the last few years especially, and there's just an awakening. I see it in so many different ways that it's expressed. People are just becoming more knowledgeable in all the ways that you're saying, and there's no movement that can happen in the sense of we can't start something that's going to change everybody. We change ourselves. It's very simple. And what we need to do is to become more, everything we've been saying, we have to become more conscious of that which is. Paramhansa Yogananda put the entire spiritual path basically in two questions. What causes lasting happiness, not just what feels good in the moment, but what causes lasting happiness and what causes suffering. And it's something that you have to explore, as we've said, we'll be repeating, honest introspection and the courage to really find out what is. Everything that we do, even the most egregious, criminal, appalling behavior, that person did it because they thought it would make them happier and that they would suffer less when they did it. And you can't tell someone that, but you experience it. That's why we have to reincarnate so many times. That's why very often lessons are very hard, because it has to be made very clear to us repeatedly what causes lasting happiness and what causes suffering. But if you want to change the world, if we want to make any difference, you cannot do it unless your own inner reality has shifted. Because whatever we're saying, it's our vibration that's communicating. So you start changing your vibration, and you change the world much more than you think. Just because you have an actual effect. We have all the resources, we have all the technology, all the money. We could make this world a heaven on earth, but we don't want to. So it has to, the compassion, the kindness, the recognition of our unity with one another. And the only way we can really feel that is by understanding that we are loved by God and feeling that inside ourselves and then wanting to give that to others. That's it. But it starts, it's this big when it starts. You make one small change and then you make another small change and you like the way that feels and then you make another one. It all, institutions do not do it, laws do not do it, politicians don't do it. It's our own experience, because then we know if I do this, I will lessen my suffering, I will increase my happiness, and that will motivate us. Yeah.
But what would be your small good advice to our daily life that we could integrate into our life so that it would be a little bit more happier, a little bit more balanced, so that we would be keeping us on the right path? Technique, practice, knowledge.
Are you waiting for me? Am I waiting for you?
You have it.
That's my question. What would you say?
I can answer too. Don't take life so seriously.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
As if I'm voting. Okay, go ahead.
Because everything coming and going.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Take it more easily, but with some kind of responsibility. Some things need to be done. Otherwise, you can create some troubles to you. For example, tax collectors can come to your home on one day if you don't pay any more taxes, right? Because you just decided. Yeah. And if I say can be happy, it's not good, because most people need reason to be happy. Some specific outside reason or inner reason to listen music or internet or drink something or take some drugs. I cannot say be happy, but be conscious.
Be conscious, yeah. Very good.
Be conscious, this is good. And make good things, but not by violence. Because not all people need good things from you. Yeah. And don't be stupid. Don't be used by others because you're a good person. Just be smart, recognize, be aware. use ability to divide, to go deep, to understand. Yeah, wise life.
Yeah, wise life.
Wise life. Yeah.
You know, a lot of what we're doing when we're trying to change is we have momentum in certain directions, habits, and it generally takes less energy to just continue as you are than to exert energy to go in another direction. So even when it occurs to us that we want to elevate our existence, we're already going this way. So a very simple way, awareness, but also it takes more energy to change direction than it is to go the way you've been going. So quantity and quality of energy is one of the measurements of whether you're actually moving toward a goal or just riding what you've already done. So I have a very small and practical way of thinking about it. Always try to just put out a little more good energy. Just do a little more. And I'll give you an extremely mundane example from my own life. I do not like housework. I am proud to say I've hardly done any in my life. And I just don't enjoy it. And I can go to sleep with the kitchen completely disorderly. I sleep like a baby. It doesn't bother me at all. So it's a very mundane issue in which my default position is always to do less. And, you know, there's no big deal on it. It doesn't have any big story about it. It's just I don't like it. But what I do is I always do a little more than my worst. Okay? I'm not going to actually wash the dishes, but I will stack them neatly. But that is, you know, it's a small thing, but it's an actual concrete change. If I'm, and I can carry it too, if I get upset with someone and I want to say something that I really shouldn't say, and momentum is trying to get me to say it, I'll just try to do a little better than my worst, which is by putting out a little more energy. If you put out, we think that transformation happens on the big stage, but it doesn't. It actually happens this moment, the next moment, the next moment. And if in every little way that you can, you do a little better than your worst, you will actually find in a relatively short period of time the habit of trying harder instead of doing less begins to change the momentum. And basically, you might not reach the top yet, but your worst keeps rising up from the bottom. So it's so boring and undramatic, but it will change you, I think, faster and better than many, many other things that you can try. Of course, there's a million other things that could be said. More and better energy, even if only a little, and then your feet you're grounded. You're actually really doing something. You're changing your self-definition from one who is always this way to one who can, go in a new direction. And once you begin to see yourself in that light, then all kinds of doors begin to open for you.
And remember those small steps.
Yeah.
Don't forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going for the mountain, but where are your feet? You can't get there just by looking. You have to know where your feet have to go. And if you start moving them ever so small, yeah.
I remind you in the audience, if you have a question, just raise a hand and we give you a mic. But a question now to you that people also want to know that how to balance the life, spiritual life, physical life or private life. Where's the balance? Or is there any such question at all?
They need to be balanced. How much? What is the proportion? It's very difficult to say, right? But life, regular life, that is what are given to us or taken by us. It's karmic life, and all those things what need to be we come to the table. They're coming anyway. They're coming, and we have some responsibility to do those things. If we don't fight with some regular things, but we're taking them as in simple way, then life become very efficient, and then we have more time to live a spiritual life, because spiritual life is how I say it's additional chance to go beyond the normal life or regular life, and if your regular life become fine, good, well done, then your spiritual life become good too. Then through time, your spiritual life start to come to your daily life. It means your normal life become more spiritual life. And finally, you cannot divide anymore what is spiritual life, what is normal life. They become one, actually. And that's the best way.
Yeah.
But don't struggle with regular life or spiritual life. What is best, what is not. Everything is basically one. We are talked to many moments here about the God and everything. Everything is God, right? God doesn't share life, regular life and spiritual life. It's same actually, yeah. So but if we don't have that knowledge, everything is same, then we need to look piece by piece what we are doing to make clarity there, right? And make peace with your life. Yeah, whatever you're doing in your life, and don't be afraid, right?
So don't be afraid.
Yeah. You can find yourself in the position where you can become better person, but that other with whom you live doesn't like it. Yeah, or children doesn't like what you became. But there's a new challenge, and situation what need to be solved somehow in good way. Yeah. So that's what I can share with you.
What I hear you saying also is, as you commented, that spiritual and ordinary, that distinction gradually fades away. Implied in the question is and implied in what you were saying, is that we resist. We use a lot of energy to resist.
Mm-hmm.
And that resistance takes so much energy that it's beneficial to neither aspect. But I was thinking also when you were saying this, one of the laws of prosperity, of abundance in any way, is that you have to appreciate and make use of what you do have. And so when we think, if I had a different situation, if I didn't have to take care of these children, if I didn't have to work, then I would do this. But we're not making the best use of what we have. And it's really like if you give somebody a gift and they just dissipate it and don't use it very nicely, then you're just not inclined to give them more. So we have to start by just looking at what opportunities do I have to concentrate on what I consider to be my spiritual upliftment, and look very creatively at our circumstance and then add in as much as we can. What do we listen to when we're in the car, when we're doing mundane tasks, and we could be hearing uplifting music or instructive talks? When I have a few minutes, what kind of a book do I open? If we actually just start taking care of all the small parts, we may find that there's more in our reality than we think. We have more opportunities than we think we have if we stop just dissipating them or not paying attention. And so it's the same thing I was saying earlier. Don't look for the big change that's going to liberate you. Look for the small openings that you presently have, embrace them with gratitude, and then that will magnetize more and better opportunities. And it will begin to change your consciousness, which will change your magnetism, which will change your karma, and everything begins to follow after that. This is sort of when you asked me earlier, about the big moments. The big moments happen, but it's actually the small moments that actually make you different. Big moments are all this energy, some of which stays with you, some of which dissipates. But the daily habit, Yogananda said, take care of the minutes and the incarnations will take care of themselves, which is really quite a statement. Because what is an incarnation? It's this minute, and then what do you know? It's the next one. And there's just never any point where it becomes an incarnation. It's just what I did now, and then what I did after that. And which gradually becomes glorious. At first it seems very mundane, but just as you were saying, gradually you begin to see all of it differently, because you're just seeing it for what it is. You're seeing the reality behind it.
We are coming close to the end of our conversation. So the last topic would be the hope and vision for the world. If you have one wish
If I had one,
to our audience, their families, and people in the world, what would that be?
Maybe I can say it's very short. Be respectful to yourself and to the others, whatever they are. Respect.
that's wonderful. Swami Kriyananda would often say, people make a great deal in relationships out of love, but the foundation is always respect. So it definitely, without respect, none of it works. Now I'm going to talk about love.
Yeah.
But we don't have to earn God's love. We don't have to be better than we are. If people could understand that there is an infinite, divine love that is always showering down upon us, and if we could open our hearts to that, everything would be different. That's my wish. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Asha and Ishwarananda. Thank you.
Thank you for good questions.
Very good questions, and thank you for your company.
Thank you for you
inspired
too.
the audience.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Asha, you will continue your Europe tour, and you will be in Latvia tomorrow.
Latvia tomorrow, Lithuania, and then back to Italy before California at the end of November. Yeah.
You are always welcome back to Estonia and always welcome back to Lilleoru. Thank you for coming. And the next Path of Wisdom will be next month on the 20th of November. And then we will talk about power of sincerity with Ishwarananda. And now we close with the beautiful music from the long-time students who live in Ashram of Ananda. Enjoy.
Sing with us. So this chant that we are saying is Om Kali, and then Om Shiva, and then Om Guru. Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Kali, Om Kali, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om. Om Guru,